Hi everyone, I hope you're having a good Thursday here in the first part of August. My name is Jeff Miller, the pastor at the Belton First United Methodist Church in Belton, Texas. Thank you for joining in these devotionals we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays. For the month of August, I've entitled these devotions, We Really Do Need Each Other. And it is based on a very formative book that I read as a young adult when I was in college. It was written by Dr. Reuben Welch, who was the chaplain at Point Loma Nazarene College while I was there. It made a huge influence on me. One of my spiritual mentors in his book, We Really Do Need Each Other, is really a series of sermons on 1 John, which is John's letter to the church. When he talks about and the title of the book is We Really Do Need Each Other. You might be able to still get it if you wanted it. It's worth your time to read that. But John, that Apostle John, he's the one who was the beloved disciple. John, that's the one who didn't abandon Jesus actually at the cross, but he stood there. John is the one that Jesus says to him, "Here is your mother," when Jesus was looking at his own mother, and Jesus looks at his mother and says about John, "And here is your son." And John was very instrumental in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ in the early church. And now he finds himself exiled, apart from all the people he loved, apart from his support system, apart from the church, apart from the Christian community. Now, maybe you're feeling kind of that same way in this time of lockdown, pseudo-lockdown, some sheltering in place, some not, but us not being able to gather for Sunday school classes, not being able to gather, and for our small groups, not being able to gather, in our houses for parties, not being able to gather at the church for worship. So I think John's words in John's first letter really speak to us. And John writes to us about fellowship, light, and even sin. But we're talking about fellowship. Several years ago, I got to go to the museum in California, in Los Angeles, where the Space Shuttle Endeavour is on display. Wow, to just see it. But they have it hanging, and so you can see the whole thing. And on the bottom part, it's a little bit bigger than this. Yeah, it's actually quite bigger than this. But on the bottom, I noticed there's all these numbers on each piece of what you might call tile, but there's a number. And I asked the person, what is the significance of the numbers? Because they weren't in sequence. It wasn't a way to help. It wasn't like an instruction manual to put them together. And he says that identifies that piece. That each piece on the bottom of that space shuttle was unique. It had, each piece had a different thickness, depending on where it was and how much heat it had to protect. Different shape to make sure everything was nice and tight. Each piece had different dimensions and the thickness of skin. And I got thinking about Christian fellowship in the Christian church and the body of Christ when I was looking about that. How we together, how we all have that uniqueness and the difference. And John writes, and we'll pick up at verse 3. "What we have seen and heard, we also announce it to you, so that you can have fellowship with us." Remember, fellowship. Our fellowship is with the Father and with His Son, Jesus Christ. We talked about those three legs of fellowship back on Tuesday. But we are writing these things so that our joy can be complete. This is the message that we have heard from Him and announced to you. God is light, and there is no darkness in Him at all. More about that next week. If we claim we have fellowship with Him and live in the darkness, we're lying and do not act truthfully. But if we live in the light, in the same way as He is in the light, we have fellowship with each other. And that word fellowship, it has to do with partnership. You know, John was in partnership with the apostles in the endeavor to proclaim Jesus Christ. John was with others in his business endeavor, in the fishing business. And we together are in the fellowship to endeavor together to worship and proclaim the good news of Jesus Christ this day. But it was interesting looking at those tiles that each one was unique, but how they all came together. And it speaks to me about the Christian community, about how each and every person is unique and has a purpose. And I am one of those people that believe if you are looking for a church where everyone is exactly like you, that everyone else thinks like you, has the same political persuasions as you, grew up where you did, has the same family situation as you do, works in the same kind of industry, talks the same way, has the same accent, uses the same slang terms, has the same level of education, the only person you're going to be in fellowship with is yourself. It's going to be a very small group. One tile on the bottom of the space shuttle just would not work. And only one Christian in the church does not work. John, in his lifetime, saw the church expand from a small group of 11 apostles that were with Jesus, expand and start to include others there in Jerusalem, and then go beyond Jerusalem to different places of the globe, to include many, some who did not look like them, some who did not talk like them, some who did not eat like them. But that's the beauty of the church and Christian fellowship. And let's remember that even though we're very different, we really do need each other. God bless.